Okay, I got up this morning and I was like, woo, Mitch is on my podcast. I can't wait for this conversation.
I'm as excited, if not more than you are, Lisa, so thank you.
You know, I've just, I just know a little bit about you, but I feel like every time I hear your name, I'm like, she is so impressive. And I just follow kind of some of the amazing things that you've done. And but I don't know that much about you. And this is the first time we've met, and I'm just delighted.
Well, me too. Thank you. And thank you for your gracious comments.
Well, it's in my mind, you're most known for curating the Dayton's projects. So let's just start with that. Like,
Okay.
How did that come to be?
Well, it's very interesting because my friends Maureen Bausch and Wendy Blackshaw, who were chairing the Super Bowl, had reached out to me and said, can you do a shopping experience during Super Bowl? And it was literally like a month before. And when I put these markets together, I am, like, people know my weekends are spent in church basements and in upper Minnesota and all over finding vendors that nobody has had before.
Okay.
And I said, you guys, you're lucky that it's the Super Bowl because anybody I ask is going to say yes, that they want to be in this, obviously. So I put the market together and I said, okay, I've got the vendors. What location? And they said, well, we don't have one. Do you mind reaching out to some brokers downtown? And I'm like 2 weeks before Super Bowl now. And I said, okay, my first choice is Dayton's. Who's the broker at the new Dayton's, the 601W, who bought Dayton's building? Yeah. And they said Trisha Pitchford is her name, and I did not know Trisha at the time. So I picked up the phone, I called her. You know Trisha, I know Trisha. She is as quick as can be, tells it like it is, and you are on your way. And I got that the minute I said, hi, my name is Mich Berthiaume. I'm looking for a space in Dayton to do a great shopping experience on behalf of the Super Bowl host committee. I don't have anything.
I love it.
I said, okay. Let me just ask you one more thing. When Dayton's project opens, if you intend to do a shopping experience, I curate markets, and I spend a lot of time and thought and process in mentoring the brands doing this. Is that something you'd be interested in? And she said, it's something we're very interested in, but I'm not going to hire you. I want to hire the person who is working with Mall of America. Do you have their name?
Oh, my goodness. Oops.
It was me.
Oh! That is the greatest story ever.
It was, to this day, I still give her grief about it.
Oh my gosh.
She said, I was at the Shop Local in the former, I can't remember, it was a cosmetic space next to Nordstrom, and she said, I have to tell you, it was a wonderfully well put together market. And so I will be calling you. And we hung up, and a couple years later, I am at Midway Airport with a contract in front of me for Navy Pier in Chicago who wanted to hire me. And she said, don't sign it. We need you at Dayton's. We're ready.
Wow.
And so that's how the Dayton's project started.
Wow, that is a fantastic story.
Well, first of all, because of her love and devotion to Dayton's, that she wasn't just going to hire some woman who's calling looking for space for Super Bowl.
Love it so much.
Right?
That's crazy.
And so that's the first thing I loved about her, as much of it was like a jolt. And thank heavens I was the person who did Mall of America, or it would have been humiliating. But I thought, I want to work with somebody like you who has this much passion for a project.
That is so great. Oh my gosh. Okay, so where did the Super Bowl market end up?
In City Center.
Okay.
In the atrium of City Center. And it was enormously successful because of the built-in traffic. You know, we didn't need we got a ton of media and that kind of thing, but it was just, that Super Bowl was so well put together. And I applaud so many of my friends worked on it. So that was a really fun experience for downtown.
I kind of want to be one of that group of friends. I mean, you've already named some really impressive people. It's they kind of made some really cool things happen in this town.
They really have. I completely agree. And especially for women, women's sports, a lot of things. So So Dayton's was prolonged for 2 years due to COVID and George Floyd.
Yeah.
And then we opened, we're in the 5th year now.
Wow.
And so Trisha was so hard-nosed that when I sat down with her, I said, okay, there's 2 things I want. I want to be able to sell Dayton's merch, and I want to be able to bring back Santa Bear.
Okay, cool.
And so we did not bring back Santa Bear the first year because there was so many unknowns with COVID and people not downtown as much and those kind of things.
Sure.
Second year I brought back Santa Bear, and we had the same lines. If you grew up in Minnesota like I did and took my kids down, that line started at 4 a.m. on Black Friday to get the Santa Bear.
Wow.
And the rest is history. It's just been, we did $2 million in 42 days this year.
Oh my goodness, that's so impressive.
And to provide that kind of a platform for local entrepreneurs that have never had that kind of a platform and are walking away with $100,000 in 40 days, it brings tears to my eyes.
That's amazing. And I want to kind of there's so much I want to talk to you about, but I really want to stay on that topic because there are a lot of these markets or
Yes.
farmers markets or what
Everywhere.
have you, right? And even some programs that communities or cities are funding some of these entrepreneurs. But if you don't have high standards, recognize what is a good product, what will sell. I think I think some of these really, these people with really goodwill and good intentions are setting up people for total failure. And if you give someone free space even and say, I'm going to give you free space to do this, but they're selling something that's not sustainable ever, it's sort of, so to be able to do what you do in the way that you do it is really not only good for the project and for the community, but for these entrepreneurs and keeping them to high standard is really, it's brilliant.
Well, you know what? I can't tell you how much I appreciate that you recognize that because, it can be hard, especially with Dayton's. I always tell people, if your sales are there, we staff the market, but I overly encourage, basically recommend, when we're doing $300,000 worth of business on a Saturday, and you choose to go to a school gymnasium that's going to have 25 people in it, opposed to spending an hour or 2 in your space at Dayton's talking to the customer, you're going to miss out on a $5,000, $10,000 day, and you're going to make not even back what you paid the $50 to be in a school gymnasium.
Wow.
And so I have, everybody gets personally invited. I do not do any application process.
Really?
I drive around every single weekend. I really stopped curating at the huge markets. I go to markets that nobody knows about because I've had people comment at Dayton's or other markets. You always have vendors that do not overlap with other shows that I go to. And you also do not overlap on categories. I want these entrepreneurs to make money, Lisa.
Love it.
And so I am not going to just accept 10 jewelry brands because they're the best 10 jewelry brands. I'm going to take 2 or 3 or 4 of those tops and really curate well so that when you are a shopper and you come to me and say, this is the best market I've ever been at. And more importantly, the vendors come in and say, I want to come back. I made the most money and had the most recognition on my website after the market.
I love it.
So there's a whole strategy that I put into these, and that's why I am a snob about the platforms. It's Four Seasons, it's Dayton's, it's buildings that I know are going to invest in the local entrepreneurs that I have in there.
Yeah.
And in return, it's going to get them, which I think really confuses people about these temporary pop-up markets. I have had 3 restaurateurs approach me and say, I was at Dayton's during your market. I have never seen anything like this downtown in years. Who do we talk to about possible full-time leasing here and open a restaurant? That's my other part of the strategy.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, it's really beautiful. I have goosebumps for so many reasons. I mean, just launching success for people and it's really special. So let's start. How did you get passionate about this? I mean, you have to really want to go to these little markets and talk to these. I've often thought, we should be doing that. I mean, it'd be really fun to curate some of that and kind of see those people grow. But I mean, there's a lot of work and time spent that you're not getting paid for. Let's just put it that way.
And you know what? It's worth it. I charge a fee, a monthly fee for putting these things together. So let me back up. When I was at Ecolab for many years.
Okay.
In the Fortune 500 world, as a consultant to the executive team and to the CEO, Doug Baker. And a dear friend of mine from college had called me and said, I am buying the old Faribault Woolen Mill Blanket Company, and I need a bulldog to come in and head up sales. Would you be willing to do this?
Okay, and who was that?
Chuck Moody.
Okay.
So he had just come from CEO of Dairy Queen. I had come from working with the executive team at Ecolab. We brought in a consultant who was head of home decor at Dayton's for many, many years. And I remember sitting at Starbucks with Chuck and him saying, do you think this investment is important? And I said, listen, you basically sold ice cream. I basically sold rat poisoning. Do you think we know about textiles and looms and how they work? And he said, all right, say no more. So we brought this fabulous consultant in who knew everything and took us to New York and all over the world and introduced us to people, and we got Faribault off the ground.
That is really cool.
It was so exciting. And so while I was there, all of a sudden I would get a call from a buyer at Nordstrom. And this was after I had been there for 5 years and positioned our blankets globally in every beautiful hotel and in all the exclusive stores and just had the most wonderful time doing it. And the buyer at Nordstrom said to me, we are starting a new concept called Nordstrom Pop-In. We are putting a pop-up shop in 8 of our most exclusive stores around the country. And we have been watching you, Mich Berthiaume personally, and who you're working with in rebuilding this brand in Minnesota. And we are wondering if you could help us curate some of these brands for this pop-in. And then Target called me and said, we know you have a pulse on the menswear business popping up all over and becoming explosive. Can you make introductions for us and help us build an online men's category?
Oh my goodness.
And then Mall of America called me and said, we need some new concepts. Can you help us come? So I thought, there's a business for me here.
Yeah, do you think? Wow.
So got Faribault off the ground. They called me a couple times back to come in back and consult and have been watching them just explode, and it's been terrific. And then started Mitch's Markets.
Okay.
But Mitch's Markets is more than just putting markets together. It is really retail consulting because that's my background. I started out working for Barbara Armajani, who had Ampersand.
Oh, really?
She had a concept of career women's petite clothing, and I'm 4'10", and at the time weighed 90 pounds and was that perfect person. And started in retail with her.
Okay.
And then continued working in retail projects through Ecolab, and then of course Faribault is a retail company, and so it just made sense. So I also consult and help people open stores and do things like that besides the markets.
That's fantastic. I just don't think there's enough of you. Like, we need to duplicate you, because I think that there aren't that many people doing what you do, and you do it so well.
Well, I think it's just the strategy that I have. It isn't an application process. It isn't first come, first serve. It is truly about the building I'm in, and most importantly, about the brands that I work with to help elevate them and get them to the next level that they want to be at.
Talk to me about the retailers that you have seen achieve the most success because of opening a door for them, or tell me about a couple stories.
Okay, so I live in St. Paul, and I was driving one day in an area that I am rarely in, on University in Lexington, and I see this empty parking lot with potholes all over the place, but I see a bus that's decorated, and I see a couple vendors. And I pull in this parking lot, and this beautiful young couple are spinning cotton candy. And I walked over, and I said, "Hi, my name is Mitch. Can you tell me about your business?" I said, I curate marketplaces for the Mall of America. And they said, "Oh, we're not a business. Our sister works at the St. Paul Public Library, and this is a festival for them. And we told her as a favor that we would buy a cotton candy machine and we would help her."
Oh my goodness.
And I said, "But you are a brand. You really are a brand. There is nobody that I work with who does this." And they did purple for Prince colors. They were very innovative in this cotton candy.
Okay.
No, I'm not kidding. I was like, you guys are really something. So I said, "Here's my card. I do not want to pressure you, but if you decide that you are the business that I know you are, please reach out to me. I am opening a holiday market at the Mall of America. Nobody in town does a 6-week-long market. They're all weekends or days or in, halls and all kinds, but this is a very unique, and I would love to invite you to be in it." And they were like, "Us?" Long and short of it, they called me back a month later, and you guys, they said, "We took out a loan, we're ready." And I was like, "Oh no!"
Oh geez.
They came in Mall of America. I wrote them a recommendation to be in the State Fair. They're now in the State Fair. They now have their own store. Maplewood Mall is rebuilding that mall and putting all kinds of local vendors in there. They had a store for a couple years at Union Depot down in St. Paul, and they do all the private events for the Walker. So that is a great story of
my gosh.
pulling over on the side of the road.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so great. Like, what is it that you look for that you know is success? I mean, you have such an eye for that, but I know it's probably in your gut, right?
I think
what are you looking for?
Well, it's really interesting that you asked that question, Lisa, because it's not just about the brand, it's about the people who are behind the brand.
Okay.
And if I know, like they had their little child with them, and I knew that this was a sacrifice for them to be helping their sister, so I knew they were really hard workers, right?
Yeah, right.
And I knew that they would be committed, and so besides the product, I mean, you can have 100 different jewelers. I work with Larissa Loden, who's one of the top jewelers in town, and I work with her constantly because she's such an artist, but she is at every single market, shows up, comes in, talks to the customer. So it's really a twofold. It is about the product, but it is also almost as important as the person behind that product and how much they care. If they care about their brand, they're going to care about being at the Four Seasons or Dayton's or Malcolm Yards or, any of the other, all the Minnesota sports and events things that I do. And they're going to care. And that is so important.
It's almost like they transfer their hard work and their heart into their product, and it's like kind of has a different feel to it because of it.
That's right.
I mean, it's true, right? Like, if you really are passionate about something, it's different than if you're kind of just doing something because you want to make money, right? It's got to be more than just I want to make money.
It has to be more than that, and
right?
You're going to make money if you have that attitude.
Yeah, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So tell me about some of the most interesting vendors that you've come across that, in some of these church basements. Is there anything super that stands out?
Yeah. I found a woman who has a brand called Soak It Up, and it's all like organic. People call them, there's a name for them, Swedish dishcloths.
Okay.
She incorporated them and calls them Soak 'em Up, and they're all recyclable, sustainable. She has laundry detergent now. Just watching her grow this business from this this cloth that you can use 100 times, put in the dishwasher, and then recycle. And she has built on that.
Okay.
And so she is one that, and I just saw her post, and this is what just makes me jump for joy. She was invited, and I'll have to ask her about this. I am talking out of the side of my mouth just from seeing it and congratulating her on Instagram, to a big Tory Burch seminar in New York.
Oh, cool.
So then I see those kind of things, and I am like, this is why I do this.
Yeah. We'll have to put the link to her
Yes.
store Instagram on, and maybe the Cotton Candy group
Yes.
on the show notes, so
Yep.
that you can connect with these really incredible people.
So she is a really very special. I found a gourmet chocolatier called XOXO Chocolate, and she was the same thing. And I walked up to her. I can't remember if it was at the Arboretum or where it was. She was like, "You're Mitch, and you're asking me to be in one of your markets?" And I mean, I was on WCCO, and of course Amelia is like, "Where did these chocolates come from?" So then I send Amelia chocolate. I mean, you've got to be able to market these brands outside of just the markets. Meet Minneapolis ordered thousands of dollars worth of candles from somebody for corporate gifts from me, from the local makers. And so there's all these stories behind, the people that I find. So it goes far beyond just those 40 days in Dayton's or a weekend at the Four Seasons or what have you. I mean, Four Seasons has every pro sports team staying there. We're not supposed to advocate that, but
But now we know.
then the New York Jets buy cookies from Thumb's Cookies for all of their events that they have going on.
Oh my gosh.
So that's really why I'm a snob about the spaces that I'm in.
Yeah.
And who is possibly going to come to those events. Wendy hires me to put a shopping experience for every Minnesota sports and events. She had
And Wendy is?
Wendy Williams Blackshaw, who's the CEO of Minnesota Sports and Events.
Yep.
And she's just a marketing guru, from Sun Country Airlines to the Super Bowl, and just so many attributes to her resume. But the Olympic gymnastics were here last summer. To this day, a year later, I get texts from those vendors saying, I got another sale on my website from somebody who was at Promenade du Nord, which was an outdoor, I don't know if you went, but...
I didn't, but you did that too, of course.
I did, yeah. I did.
That was you, of course.
But
Wow.
that's what's that, and I tell everybody, if you have a bad day in one of my markets, because not every market is going to be great, wait until they get home. If they're traveling on an airplane, you're going to get those sales.
Yeah.
And they do.
Interesting. Well, I mean, that's true of anything, right? Like,
Right.
you just have to keep up, and, that not every day is going to be great for 1,000 reasons, right? But if you keep getting out there, and if you're at all associated with Mitch,
Well,
I
I don't know about that. I think it's more the platforms that Mitch gets hired to put these markets together on. But
Yeah,
thank you.
but I mean, it's really special. I mean, I love to tap into like every aspect of your brain. What kind of crazy things do you think? Can you think of coming next? I mean, are there some things that you're excited about doing, or and how do you even choose what to work on?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I always do fun shopping experiences for Minnesota Sports and Events. World Junior Hockey is coming the day
Really?
after Christmas, and it's a 12-day event at the former XL Energy and Grand Casino. I'm so proud of myself. I can't believe it.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
And so I'm working on that right now, and those vendors are going to just absolutely crush it. Being in Debbie Estes, who is a former Target marketing guru, is with Minnesota Sports and Events, and she and I come up with. She is the mastermind, but I put the shopping experience together. One really exciting thing besides Dayton's is going to be really big this year because it's the 40th anniversary of Santa Bear.
Okay.
So I have
cool.
some really fun things planned for that. But I've two friends of mine who went home to New Orleans during COVID, ended up coming back with trolley cars.
Okay.
And they started a trolley business called Minneapolis Trolley, and they give these rides and tours that are all themed. One of them is Prince. The other one is Old Downtown. The other one is like spooky things. And he's dressed in a conductor outfit and he's riding this trolley around, and it's been enormously successful. So
Wow.
they come in Dayton's because I am OCD and I don't have to be at Dayton's every day, but I am there studying it. Who's coming in, what vendors are here, who's doing well, what can I do better next year? So I'm there for those 42 days in and out studying it. And so these two guys come in and said, we bought the Pillsbury Mansion by Minnesota Art Institute. We are going to open a trolley station. Instead of a Grand Central Station and a train station, we're opening a trolley station.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's so fun.
I love it so much.
Exactly.
Right.
So inside this gorgeous Pillsbury Mansion from the early 1900s, they're opening a hotel, a restaurant, and hired me to curate a retail store. Not a pop-up, a retail store with all local vendors.
That's fantastic.
And so every time a trolley pulls up, they have to be there a half hour, 45 minutes in advance. So right there you get the traffic that are going to want to shop because they're going to have time before the trolley arrives.
Right.
And then they can have a cocktail, and they're going to have really quirky special concession stands inside. So it's just this masterful concept, I think, that is going to be just fantastic. And to be able to provide that platform that's different from a weekend market or something, when vendors can be in there for a year, they
Yes.
provide all the staffing, it's a store. They own the retail store, and
Wow.
they hired me to buy for them all these products.
Wow. That's so cool. I mean, I think, the business that we're in, commercial real estate, the lenders and the owners and the investors, constantly want what's safe, right? Which is like putting a Starbucks and a, Gap and and it's cookie cutter, right? And life got kind of cookie cutter-ish, where you'd go to Seattle and you'd see the exact same stores you see in Minneapolis. And so I think that's really exciting about what you're doing, is that you're giving people experiences that they truly can't get anywhere else. Whether it's here or Seattle, they're seeing things that they're not going to see in both places.
And that's exactly what I'm trying to accomplish. I have a daughter who lives in London, and I'm there frequently, and she claims I'm there to shop inspirationally for my business.
Well, whatever works.
It helps.
No, honey, I'm really here just to see you.
Well, and now they have kids, so they've started sending me things like my son-in-law put a whole deck together. Mitch, here's an idea for you.
Oh my gosh.
And this is what we do in London, and so it's pretty cute. But yes, I always do try to travel and get inspiration, because people just don't want another Starbucks. You're absolutely right. And believe me, I have brokers. I just had a broker call me from Brooklyn. I had a broker call me from Scotland, a developer, who said, I read an article about you in Twin City Business Magazine on LinkedIn. And I was like, you what?
Wow.
And so it's very interesting, this small town Minnesota St. Paul girl who is getting calls from brokers and developers in Scotland.
I love it.
Because of makers markets.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, where do you think that whole idea, I mean, is that like a market like that? Has that been around forever?
It has.
Is it, in one form or another?
It has, and I always try to do, different things. I'm working with Four Seasons. They have the Nordic Village on the rooftop. That's absolutely beautiful. And they have 8 cabins, and I put a vendor in each cabin every weekend. And
A different
vendor. Yep.
every weekend.
Yep. Rotate vendors.
That's a lot of work.
It's a ton of work. It's
Oh
a
my
ton
gosh.
of work. There's been some candle brands and jewelry brands that customers have asked to come back, so I've had them repeat and coming back and things like that. But yes, to rotate them every single weekend from early November until Christmas, besides Dayton's, besides Malcolm Yards, besides a couple others that I do.
Wow.
But I have cut back, Lisa, because people are renting halls and saying, whoever wants to come and be a vendor, be a vendor. I will never be that.
Yeah.
I just won't, for the benefit of the vendors.
For the benefit of everybody. Really, but I do think it goes down. These people work so hard. back in the day when I did marketing, we did a lot of craft shows, you know, so it was the same kind of thing, you know, and there's these craft show deals. And I mean, the amount of work it takes to get those set up and do that, but to take it to another level where you're really ensuring the success for these people because of how, I don't know what you want to use, particular you are, you know, like, you know.
My excuse is always, I'm a boomer.
But it's really special. It's really different.
Thank you.
And I mean, I think people recognize that. I mean, it's just, wow. I'm so honored to meet you. And how did you get connected to all these amazing women in this community? I mean,
boy, I don't know. I'm not shy. Although I'm not a social person. Like, I do a lot of events, work events that are social. But I'm not like out every weekend at, you know, people say, what are you doing tonight? And I'm like, hopefully I'm in front of a Hallmark movie working on my laptop, sending out invitations to upcoming markets or watching. I'm a big sports fan. So, you know, it was really fun because the Twins hired me one season. They were looking for a younger season ticket holder. And I put a market together. I was there every single home series switching out vendors. And so just to be able to have recognition from the professional sports teams that these local entrepreneurs matter and could make a difference in their ballpark. And same with Vikings at their practice facility. They hire me and I do markets out in Egan, which, you know, it's wonderful. So I don't know how I've met all these people. I suppose just from being in business and being in the same circles and getting to know them, but I have the most wonderful professional group of friends.
so you said a lot there about understanding what audience you're trying to attract, and that's really interesting too, right? So, and that's where I think, you know, we haven't talked about that being a secret sauce, but understanding that if you want a younger demographic to come to a Twins game, you're going to have different vendors than if you are looking for, you know, some high-end vendors for, you know, something else. I mean, so really knowing what audience you're trying to attract is really beneficial to whomever you're, you know, wherever you're locating those.
I think you pegged it when you said there's a lot of work that goes into this. When I put a proposal and scope of work together and people look at it and gasp, and I'm like, you're going to see how labor intense this is, and you're going to see the time that I put into this, and you're going to see your return to the building, whether it is a restaurateur that's interested in leasing a space or a retailer. Mall of America's return on investment from me was always somebody leased space who was in that market.
Yeah. That's
and
great.
it is great. It's wonderful. And so, but yes, the labor intensity that goes into it, because I have to think about the difference between the audience at Viking Lakes in Egan, where they're sports fans, to the Four Seasons Hotel.
Yeah.
And every single venue that I go into, I think about that and try to be as diverse as possible to please the people, obviously, who are paying me to put an exquisite, a different type of market together that meets their venue.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a big deal because, I mean, that also ensures the success of the market, the maker.
Yeah.
Because if you put them, you know, if you put a super high-end maker in a space where, you know, you kind of have a little less high demographic clientele, it's going to be not as successful for either group.
Well, and I think you're absolutely right. And the other thing, because I have daughters who are in their early 30s, I look at their shopping patterns. And that's the demographic that we want to grab, because they are at the breweries with their dogs, with their strollers, and they want to shop local, but then they're going to go home and Amazon is going to deliver 150 packages to their house.
Yeah, yeah.
But they do want to support those local vendors on weekends.
Yeah.
And the next strategy that I'm really trying to plan out is, and this isn't, it's nothing new and it's not rocket science, it's how do I keep Dayton's open now? Because I have vendors who are begging to stay.
Yeah.
We know what happens in January.
Yeah.
It's the guilt in me that I know what's going to happen in January, but it also goes back to a comment that you made earlier in the podcast. I charge vendors for all the markets that I do because that gives them an idea in their head. Okay, I've sold 5 of these. Now I've made up my fee. Now it is, I need to really go to work and walk out of here with $5,000 or $10,000 this weekend.
Yeah, that was one of my questions. That is how do you, is it a percentage of sales? Is it a...
Dayton's is a percentage of sales.
Okay.
Because it's the only one that I do that's a percentage of sales because we provide all of the staffing.
Okay.
My company, Mich LLC, invests in all the packaging, and it's half of what brings people in. They want that Dayton's bag.
Yeah.
They want that nostalgia. They're going to buy a Santa Bear. They want to take it out in a Dayton's bag.
Yeah.
I buy a lot of the fixturing. Vendors bring their fixturing, so it's a percentage of sales. They set up their shop. I always say, I am going to help you with visual. I am very direct. It is not to offend you. It is to help you make more money. And so I'm going to guide you on how to visually design your space. This is a shop within a shop inside of Dayton's. This is not a craft fair, and it's not a
garage
trade show.
sale.
Exactly.
Right, and they do look like that if you don't do that. I mean, it's impressive. I mean, it's having that standard. Again, it's all about standards, right?
It is about standards,
and everything rises because of it. Yeah, and I do think you need to have skin in the game. I mean, I think some of these...
You have to. It's your incentive, right?
Right, yeah. You have to... And you want people to have that level of commitment. You know, I did a lot of promotions and marketing back in the day, and I always was amazed. If we gave something away for free, you couldn't imagine how many people complained about it. But if you sold something for even $1, it was like there was no complaint because they made the choice to buy that for $1.
Right.
But if you give them for free, they just, it's everybody else's fault, and it's everything else, and it's just really different when you have people invest.
It is completely different.
Yeah.
I've done markets where Viking Lake said, let's offer complimentary markets. And then people end up, I don't have to show up because I'm not paying for this.
100%.
And it's just like, I don't have people not show up. And so, yes, when you're offering, and I always work with the venue, whether it's Four Seasons or Malcolm or Dayton's, whoever, and they'll say to me, what's fair? And I'll say, we have to be fair, so thank you for using that word, because these are the guys that don't have the capital. But we also want them to pay so that they are incentivized to
100%.
do really well.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yep.
You're not trying to gouge anyone
No.
or take advantage of anyone, but you're doing them a favor by asking them to pay and I mean, it makes them show up. It's human nature, right? I mean,
It's human nature.
you know, if your butt's not on the line, you're not maybe as motivated to get out of bed when you have the sniffles,
We're hosting a big truck parade for the mayor of Minneapolis down Nicollet Mall on the 31st of July.
My gosh. I mean, I just don't even know how you do it.
Well, this is interesting. This is really fun. The mayor had asked 2 of us to come up with concepts. The mayor's office, not the mayor, but I mean, he spearheaded the whole thing. And I came up with, let's do a parade with the snowplows, the Zambonis, the dump trucks, everybody who works in the city.
That's perfect.
And then have a big family night where kids who are all obsessed with trucks, boy,
100%.
girl, get on top of the truck, talk to the driver, have a photo op. Lofton Hotel is selling their homemade ice cream. Nicollet Diner is making sundaes and malts. I have 40 vendors who are going to have a shopping experience. I have Brass Jack Band, who's this jazz band who's going to be... So they said, do we charge the vendors? And I said, yes, minimal, we charge the vendors because that incentivizes them. This is cool. They're not charging a lot. We want to be a part of this first that is going to be hopefully every year going forward. And so, that just goes back to if we offered it free, I might get there that day and might have 10 vendors who don't show up.
100%. That's for sure. Yeah. Well, you are genius, and I think I could talk to you for the rest of the day. I'm going to continue to stalk you and hopefully get to talk with you much more, but we will share as much as we can the stories and the events that you have coming up so that people can follow and take advantage of these wonderful community building events that are so good for everyone involved. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you. It's a true honor, and we will continue talking.
I like it.
Thank you.